Hello, everyone. I'm Joey Jones, along with Paul Morrow, Richard Fowler, Kellyanne Conway, and Tyrus. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. President Trump is closing out the year with a bang and some solid numbers across the board. Strong GDP growth, lower inflation. Crime is way down, and the border, well, it's secure. But don't tell Trump derangement syndrome liberals, because they've been miserable about it just about every step of the way. Bill Maher is willing to call out his side for making Trump hatred a personality trait.
It is a phenomenon we have never seen before.
Right.
That one person would dominate
every
just the national
every dinner
for
every
a decade.
Yeah.
You know, but and I do think you have to fight that. Like I say, if that's your whole personality, is the first thing out of your mouth is, what are we going to do about Donald Trump? I just can't.
Yeah, perhaps patient zero of TDS, the woman who literally fled the country for Ireland, Rosie O'Donnell, is breaking her pledge to quit attacks on President Trump. She returned to social media this weekend to call for his removal via the 25th Amendment.
We got to do something, America. And we got to do it soon, before the November elections. Because you know that he's going to do anything he can to start a war and then declare no elections because of that war. When are they going to do the 25th Amendment? That's the question. He needs to be stopped. So, 25th Amendment, come on, people. And those with what he calls derangement syndrome are the ones who think that he's a good man. And it is not a good man. It's hardly even a human.
And of course, not to be outdone, Eric Swalwell is acting like a tough guy, threatening to impeach President Trump and issuing this warning to Trump officials.
I'm going on offense against Donald Trump, and I just put senior Trump officials on notice. Save your emails, your text messages. We're not going away.
Yeah, real tough guy. Speaking of tough guys, Tyrus,
I'm sorry, was that a plate on each side that he
You're talking about back when he did the bench press?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
poor guy.
You know, who does Rosie O'Donnell represent? Like, what American is she speaking for?
This is our fault. This is the Five's fault. Your fault, your fault, your fault. Producer's fault. If Rosie O'Donnell speaks in a forest and Fox doesn't pick it up, nobody hears it.
Doesn't happen, does it?
Nobody cares.
Right.
Do you see the production value? She's looking around to make sure the nurse isn't going to catch her on the phone again. Like, this is one of the, this is just, they do it because they get attention. She's clearly, this is all she got. I get on my phone, I say some stuff about Trump, and everyone reacts. This is the problem of being in a very successful year and a very successful administration, because we have so much time to argue about people who are mad about something they can't change. You're never going to get a chance to beat, I'm just going to break it to you, guys, get your cry out. You're never going to get a chance to beat President Trump. He's done. He won. Game over. Move on. Because he's not going anywhere. The 25th Amendment, why don't you try doing 25 things each day before you say the word Trump? See how your day works out. Maybe your skin complexion will get better. She looks horrible.
Don't say that. She'll do 25 videos every day, and we don't.
But if they don't say Trump, we won't see it.
You're right. Kellyanne, you know a thing or two about messaging to people and reading where they are. Is Trump is the devil? Trump is the worst. Get rid of. Is that the message Democrats need to take into the midterms?
It's the only one they have. They have learned absolutely nothing, Joey, from the 2024 shellacking they suffered, where Trump won the popular vote, all 7 swing states, and really burrowed into so many core Democratic constituencies. If I were the Democratic Party, I would try to learn from that. I try to work with the president when I can on things. But I would ask the Democrats a very simple question. To what do you actually object? Is it his historic tax relief, the dereg on small businesses? Is the peace deals he's making? Is it the trade deals that are going to help bring manufacturing back? Do you object to him closing up the border? And with that, the flood of illicit drugs coming into our communities and our kids' veins. And I have tried every which way in the 10 years of Trump. I've tried to talk to these people through the TV, on Twitter. Then I tried to talk to them in person, to reason with them. Don't you like this policy? Don't you like that policy? Are you done defending Biden and Harris, who are indefensible? But I have one question remains, just one question I've never tried on Rosie O'Donnell left. Don't you have anybody who loves you? You need a hug or a husband or a hobby or a hairy dog. Get yourself some help, because this woman last week, she referred to Trump as a blob. A slob calling someone else a blob.
In that video, she said barely human or something like that.
It's just terrible. By the way, she moved to Ireland, but she never moved on, and that's a problem. I live with Trump derangement syndrome. It's toxic, it's chaotic, and it's sometimes frightening. But I will tell you, a lot of Democrats don't like it. They feel that they're going to get beat in 2028 if their only message is Trump, Trump, Trump.
You know, Richard, I don't want Kellyanne's question to just tee you up, but I mean, it really is kind of the question at hand. I'll frame it this way. What is it that and maybe it's not you, but what is it that Democrats, because Nancy Pelosi brought this up, this isn't just like Swalwell throwing red meat out there. What is it that Democrats think they would be impeaching Trump on, that they're going to run on, or that they're serious about?
Well, I don't know if impeaching Trump's the answer. Listen, I think Trump derangement syndrome is a luxury that is afforded to those who aren't worried about their grocery bills or their rent or the cost of health care, which is going to skyrocket for a lot of Americans in 2 days. And listen, for the past year, I have been reporting on registered nurses. I've talked to nurses who work in ERs, who work in schools, who work in rural hospitals, who work in ICUs. And when you talk to them, they're talking about staff shortages, burnouts, people who can't afford their health care, people who can't afford their prescription drugs. They're talking about kids who don't have access to special health, to special needs in schools. And now these nurses are dealing with the fact that this administration has said they're not professionals and they can't qualify for student loans. They have real problems, and they're not worried about Trump derangement syndrome. They're worried about how they're going to heal their patients. And their working conditions are their America's healing conditions. And so I think this ideal of Trump derangement syndrome is a luxury afforded to people like Rosie O'Donnell, who can afford to move to Ireland. But for America's registered nurses that can't afford to move, they're dealing with the real ramifications of Medicaid cuts and healthcare premiums going up.
So you're bringing up the nurses in respect to Obamacare subsidies expiring?
No, I'm bringing up the nurses in respect to the fact that we've had a decade-long nursing shortage, and both parties have been asleep at the wheel. I've been reporting on, and I think that my larger moral of the story, Trump derangement syndrome is a luxury afforded to those who can think about that.
You aren't thinking about specific issues?
I mean, I think for a nurse working a 12-hour shift, they're thinking about their patients and how they're going to make ends meet for their families.
Well, Paul, on that point, Richard says, hey, it's about issues, it's about how it affects your life. You know, I don't know, closing the border, fixing immigration, maybe that's what's on the docket for 2026. No. Stopping conflicts around the world, trying to stop conflicts that pretty much everyone else has failed on. It's not just about the wins of President Trump, it's just about the outcomes of his presidency at this point, whether you give him credit or not. There has to be some place, like they just said, where they go, it's not how I would do it, but I'm glad it got done. Just give me a chance to do it a different way. At least meet halfway.
Yeah, and they don't have the messenger. That's the thing. And first of all, relative to the medical situation, wasn't Obamacare supposed to fix all of this? Weren't we supposed to all sail into a perfect, healthy future by now? We all said at the time, if you were paying attention, we're going to blow up 1/6 of the American economy. Hello, it's not going to work, and it didn't work. But moving on from that, let's just look at two issues. Number one, well, it didn't work, clearly. I mean, what did, right? All of the subsidies are, we've doubled the amount of tax money that has to go to subsidizing Medicare. Doubled.
I think
how did that work?
Deprofessionalizing the nurses is a problem.
I'm not denigrating nurses.
No, I'm saying that's what this administration did in their last one big beautiful bill. But I digress. Continue.
Swalwell is not talking about that at all.
You should be. I am. That's what I'm talking about.
He's still trying to get 2 plates up off his chest. There's a lot. Don't put too much.
I remember, of course, Joe Biden was very worried about the nurses here in Americata. Sorry. Anyway, let's go back to just 2 issues. That was mean. 2 issues. First of all, domestically, everything comes from energy. That's it. You can talk about the border. Of course, those things are all important. I paid the other day $2.79 for gas. All right, I was in a rental car, too. I don't even own a car. $2.79. If you got to commute every day, this hits your bottom line. This hits all the trucking. This hits all the shipment. That is the common denominator. We are a fossil fuel.
$2.79 sounds pretty good.
$2.79 is fantastic. When I was in the New York area, look, we're a carbon-based system. We are carbon-based people, okay? That matters. That's the domestic situation. And to me, that's his most important accomplishment you don't hear about. Foreign policy, look, Ukraine, at least he's trying. Gaza made more progress than anybody else. The Abraham Accords, I think, are coming. Relative to our own hemisphere, which does matter here. The Monroe Doctrine, however you want to call it, people get cute about it. The bottom line is fentanyl, Venezuela's been a hub for espionage against this country almost my whole life. He's the first guy to pay attention to it. He's the first guy at least said, you know what, I'm going to call BS on this guy and we're going to get rid of him. And he's going to go. And after that, let's see what happens. My point is this. He's facing up to problems without perfect solutions that nobody else has touched in like my lifetime, at least going back to Reagan. And just to close the loop here, in this era, this day and age, it's about the messenger as much as it is the issues and the messages. And the Dems just don't have the messenger. That's what's missing. Who is it? I'm looking around. We're going to talk about it later in the set here. But they don't have somebody who can get to the cerebral cortex of the electorate the way this guy can. And so as a result, he lives in their heads. It's a fatal attraction. So all they can do is talk about him because they can't move. They're all Glenn Close in fatal attraction. They can't move on. They got to find their own hero here. As everybody knows about relationships, it's not about finding the right person. It's about being the right person. I have spoken.
All right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.